we are back. Welcome to the Rest of Us podcast, our weekly podcast discussing all the episodes of The Last of Us. And after 9 days of waiting, we finally got episode 6. So we're going to talk about it. It's going to be an interesting talk. But first, let me introduce our fantastic crew. We have the wonderful Erika, the
Hi.
great Nick, and me, Lily Kay. Hi, how are you?
Just a quick little disclaimer, we are recording this directly after watching the episode. So it is still fresh in our minds, fresh in the world. So any theories and talking points that develop throughout the week, we may not be able to discuss in this podcast. We'd love to chat with you guys about it on our social media and on the live chat on our YouTube premiere, if you're there with us. So give us a shout. Let's talk about it.
Let's get right into the episode breakdown. We are once again on the calmer side of The Last of Us storytelling.
Yeah. It was exactly how it was in the game. Like you go straight from him dying to a white bunny.
The next
Oh, yeah.
chapter.
Yeah. I
Yes,
mean, that came earlier than expected, but I was like,
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
It's the whole nod thing. It's like we may not be giving you the whole thing, but hey, here's a nod to it.
Yeah, I
We
don't
still
think I
see it.
like it. I became the most critical one in this podcast. I always have some kind of problem in these episodes. I thought that I won't be. Like, I'm just going to be like, oh my God, it's The Last of Us, and that's it. That's Erika.
Yeah.
I like that they connected it with the previous episode in that way. And I like that we got a little bit different, which is why I left. It wasn't about Henry shooting himself in the head. I left because I like the old couple.
Oh my gosh, I'm so
They
glad
were
you liked
so
them because
cute.
oh, it was so wholesome.
I loved how they how they kept laughing about Joel and Ellie being tough, and they were like, "Ooh,
Ooh, holy.
Oh,
It was so cute.
Oh, I love them.
We should talk about Joel's panic attack. His very first panic attack that we have that is not in the games at all. And by the look on Lily's face, I have a feeling she does not like it.
No. I see what they are doing, which I already pointed out like a couple of episodes ago. Like, they're pointing out that they are old and they have different pains and whatnot. And Joel is obviously half deaf, basically. But it's funny, he's half deaf, but later in the episode, he clearly hears a thing that, you need like good hearing for that to catch on. You gotta know what I'm talking about a bit later on. So I was like, are we consistent with this thing? Like, is he not? Like, what's going on?
I feel like there's been a few things like that, like continuity errors where something's mentioned and then it's kind of just forgotten about, or not forgotten about, but not mentioned again. So like Joel's hearing, as you said, the watch, which is continuously not broken.
Yeah.
Sam, talking about Sam's leukemia, which was mentioned, I think, literally one time and then forgotten about for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, magically cured.
There's little things like that are kind of, I don't want to say it's lazy or it's bad. It's very odd.
Things usually when it comes to those types of things, it's things being cut out in favor of other things. It's something that serves in the moment, and things that they could use it for later is just cut or just.
I don't mind bringing in new things. I even said that I like that they point out that they are like not 20 years old or 30 years old in the story. They're like 50. And obviously they're not going to take like running or taking steps or whatever the same way as a 30-year-old would. And that's like, I like these things. But like, if you're going to put in something completely new that wasn't there for the character in the game, for example, then be consistent about it. I guess that's the main point. Like, if it's there, like, then be there.
And it's there. Kind of going to back to just like the camping thing in general, I'm really loving that. I am really enjoying these little camping moments and seeing these just precious moments of both of them just like connecting. And it was actually really great because my husband doesn't remember a whole lot about the games, but we're watching the show together, and he he doesn't quite remember how much of a dick that Joel can be. And so when Ellie, takes watch and she's like, well, I did it, so everything's fine. My husband's over there like, oh, thank her. Tell her she did a great job. And Joel didn't. And I just was like, I liked that he
That's our
didn't thank
boy.
her because we got a little bit more of the assholery, just like this little thing that was like,
That's how Joel is.
Ailey reveals to Joel that she knew Sam was infected and that she tried to use her blood.
yeah, that I think it was the same camping moment.
It was, yeah.
I think it was, yeah. So I'm pretty sure they're trying to subvert the idea that it's like this, because in the game it's a brain surgery. With the show, they're very much trying to say that they're just going to draw some blood, everything will be fine, because then it makes that choice so much more impactful. And I guess this is the way they're starting to sort of set that up.
I appreciate that she in this moment thinks that it's just a blood draw. She has the rest of her life ahead of her. She has no idea all this medical stuff or whatever that could potentially just be like them just like autopsying her entire body. She thinks she has her whole life ahead of her.
In the game, does Ellie know them trying to develop the vaccine is going to kill her?
I don't think so, because I think at one point, I think she has an assumption. This is my interpretation of it, at least, in the giraffe scene in Salt Lake, where she kind of just sits there for a minute and just kind of pondering. And then she's like, okay, now I'm ready to go. To me, it kind of felt like she may think it's bigger than it actually is.
Yeah, I don't think she knows. I think maybe she gets some ideas and when they are going through the university.
Oh no.
Don't, oh my god, we're gonna get in there.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. But I don't think she knows in the game either. It's like, how would they? I like the a nod. I'm not happy with nods, but I really like this one because it points into the future, into the second game. Is that she talks about her wish to be an astronaut and go into space, and that's where she wants to be because that's her dream. And I love that little scene of her just standing on that rock formation and just looking up and just looking into space, and I was like, yeah. And then another big change is them going towards the dam. We see the dam, and then Ellie says them. It's the same joke. It's sitting on Charlton. Well. You get it? Because it's
I love it.
Well. It's cute.
What?
Because it's a well.
Because this is kind of the turning point to where everything kind of changes significantly from the games. But I liked what he's like, Joel's like, I'm not even gonna try and explain how this whole dam works.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, you could have made something up and I would have believed you, which was a nod to the game because Joel tries really hard to explain it, but does terribly. And he tried so hard, and I was just giggling because I was like, I know what you would have said if you tried.
Before the welcoming party, we had the whistle scene.
That's
where
right.
Ellie's trying to whistle.
She tries to learn how to whistle.
Oh yeah.
She tries to whistle, and she's like, I never learned how to whistle. Oh, that to me was like it's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorite little pieces of dialogue in the game. I remember watching a video where it was one of the developers of Naughty Dog, and they were talking about that scene, and it was one of the pieces of dynamic dialogue they have in the game. So it doesn't always trigger at the same spot. It's in the Pittsburgh level, but it can so where she's trying to whistle happens in the Nebraska part, Lincoln, Nebraska, and it doesn't always trigger in the same spot. And then when she gets to Pittsburgh, she actually whistles, and then it can happen like at any different spot. So you see it at different spots during the playthrough. It's quite cool. I thought it was like it's such a nice touch. So just that little bit of information, and the scene is funny as well. It's one of my favorite things, and I'm so glad they kept it in the show or put it in the show. So I'm hoping at a later stage that she'll learn how to whistle, and then we'll get the second part of that. So I don't know. We'll see. Cute. Maybe.
I mean, if they don't forget about it, then sure. I'm so salty. I'm sorry.
I think it's
also a cool little Easter egg. That scene where she learns how to whistle in the game, where she actually starts whistling, she whistles the Uncharted theme.
Something else you can drive me crazy with.
That's awesome.
The welcoming
Yeah.
party. Yes. Yes. For some reason, when they showed the trailer, I thought that that's going to be David. And I was like, that's way too
Yeah.
early to introduce here. So I was glad that I was wrong. I was like, okay, good. I only knew I was wrong because Mario was there. So I was like, okay, gotcha. I know what's happening now. I like the dog scene.
Me too.
I think it
That
was very
so
clever.
tense.
It was
Yeah.
very clever and very intense, although I would have been surprised if the dog reacted any differently to Ellie.
Right.
Like, that would have been weird. But I liked the tension that was in Joel's eye in there, where he was like, okay, oof, I know that Ellie is, immune and everything, but oh my God, what's gonna happen?
Mhm.
And later on in the scene, he admits that he was like terrified in that moment. And I like that Ellie is just us, and she sees a doggy and she's like, oh my God.
I mean, we see a really cute dog. This isn't really terribly related to the show, but we see one of the best puppers in the game where he's just sitting there playing with a ball.
Oh yeah,
And,
yeah.
and Tommy's like, he's not the best guard dog, but he's fun to keep around.
Hey, buddy. That's Buckley. Not much of a guard dog. But he's good to have around.
And then we get the best moment in the series, if I'm honest, because I fucking love their reunion here. Especially as he notices, like, oh my God, that's my brother.
He's like coming down the steps, like still staring, like,
Yeah.
is that really you?
That hug, that gave me
It
life.
was
I was
so
like,
cute. Oh,
That was a good hug.
I saw that hug in all the trailers and teasers and things, and I was like, I can't wait to see that in the show.
and just,
Oh, man.
Ellie being the worst at table manner.
I loved
As you would
it.
expect her to be.
And it was great because she kind of gets snappy at this
Very
girl that's
snappy.
staring at her, like she was quite a bitch to her. But did anyone else, I know you guys did, but I'm talking to like the audience, think that looked like Dina?
I'm telling you, that's Dina, dude.
It
That is
looked
Dina.
like Dina.
That's Dina.
It
That's
looked like
so
Dina.
She
Ain't
I
has
don't
no
know
way.
if it's like actually
Hairstyle.
Dina or if it's a nod to be like kind of looked like Dina.
I knew that you guys are gonna bring that up the second the scene happened. I was like, oh my God, they're gonna think it's Dina. It's not gonna be
It's
Dina.
And if
I
you
d- I
thought
hate
that
to
we
dis-
thought it was Dina, that means
Yeah.
you thought it looked like Dina.
I didn't think it looked like Dina. I thought that you're gonna think it's gonna be. Here's the thing. Even if it was like a secret Dina
I
nodding,
think it
whatever,
is.
it's not gonna be the same actress.
No,
Or
it's
I
not.
would be,
No,
I
but
would be
it's-
very,
need to be.
so
No.
therefore, it's already like, yeah,
It's a nod
that's
to the
better.
girl that looks like Dina. Like they wouldn't have put that in there with that girl looking the way she does, like Dina, for us not to think it's Dina.
Gotta be Dina.
Anyway, she has terrible table manners.
I love that part. I love when Joel kind of calls her out and she's like, you need manners. And then Tommy looks at Joel with like just a smile on his face. Just kind of like, he's still such a dad, dude. Oh my word. I just want to say as well, I don't know, Erika, if you maybe found more Easter eggs, but when they got to Jackson, I saw so many. So for one thing, the mess hall where they're eating, did you guys notice the lights on the roof? It's very similar to the lights on the roof in the barn. On the outside, there's kids having a snowball fight, which happens at the beginning of the second game. There's also like a big, they've got like a big pile of snow and it's got like a slide. And in the second game, at the beginning, you can walk around the area. You can actually see they've constructed like a little slide for the kids, which is very similar.
They meet Little Shimmer, the horse of Ellie.
Oh, we didn't get the name for the horse that Joel and Ellie take at the end, though. Callus.
I think it's Callus. Yeah.
It is, yeah.
But then we didn't get it in the show yet, so
Yeah.
maybe next episode.
Maybe never.
But Callus.
How dare you?
Remember what it was. Thank you, Callus.
And then we get the Tommy and Joel talking scene.
Yeah.
And we get it again. I believe it's a completely new thing added to it, if I remember correctly, because Tommy reveals that Maria is pregnant.
Which she's not in the games.
Right. Okay. So I remembered correctly. I was
Yeah.
like, that's new.
Yeah, you remember
Yeah,
that. Right?
otherwise yeah, we would have seen Tommy have a kid in the second game. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
5 years later. So
exactly. Yeah. That was my thought as well. Like, I don't think that's in the game. Again, they brought in Joel from the game, where he's like so self-absurd and just caring about his own thing and his own journey that he completely fails to even congratulate his brother.
Say
Uh,
congratulations.
exactly.
Congrats.
Like, come on. And no, he's just like, I'm sure you'll do well or something like that.
Oh, I guess we'll see.
I guess we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you fucking asshole.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah, I love how
our...
Tommy just calls him out on it, just straight up.
And he's right. He's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Like, you know,
Totally.
he's right. And then we get, which is weird to say because this episode definitely had some emotional moments. But I think the saddest thing was Joel going out and seeing a girl with a big fluffy
Oh,
hair and just
yeah.
thinking that that's Sarah there, and, you know, and even I was like, ah, just choking on it, you know, just swallowing back tears. I was like, oh yeah.
And there goes that second, I guess technically third panic attack.
That scene was like, he sees the curly hair, and it's like, obviously I think it wasn't like, I think he knew that like it was an older age than Sarah at the time she died. So it was kind of like he's looking at like what Sarah would have grown up to be. And I remember watching that scene and I was like, okay, cool, I see what you're going here. Like, I've got some feels, you know, it's not too bad. And then the kid runs up to her. She like grabs the kid. I was bawling my eyes out.
Yeah.
Because that's like Joel seeing like what Sarah would have become, and she would have maybe
Yeah.
become a mother one day. I was like, oh, that hit home for me.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would have had a panic attack too if I was Joel in that
Oh, yeah.
moment.
I think that was such a beautiful scene to just sort of visually show Joel's grief.
And I also really like how later on Ellie finds out what happened to Sarah, which she didn't know until that part. Like, you know, I think the scene itself was really nice because we got to know Maria as well a little
We
better.
got to actually see what happens because we don't get to see any of
No.
the interactions really.
No,
So
no,
this
no.
was, I love
Oh,
that
yeah.
they're doing. I love when this is happening in the show that we see the things that we never got to see, but we saw and heard what happened after.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
loving seeing these like little pockets of stories.
There's one thing that disappointed me about that scene. I think in the game, Maria gives Ellie the photo of Joel and Sarah.
Yes.
Ellie keeps it and then, you know, gives it back to Joel later when they're in Salt Lake City. I love that scene so much when Ellie gives the photo back to Joel.
Well, no matter how hard you try, I guess you can't escape your past.
It can still happen. You know, the whole handing it to Joel
It
thing
might happen somewhere, yeah.
might happen. But yeah, now that you said it, yeah, it was in there. Like, but I guess this is where it comes in. Like, they can put everything in there at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lily.
Shut up.
It took me a second to be like, should I say this to her?
Do I dare?
Do I dare?
You do that. I explain that I don't have a problem with that. Like, you know, obviously, this is a serious. It's not the video game where you get a lot more time to spend with these characters, to spend on, you know, additional moments, let's say like the combats and everything. But
I get
that,
that.
like,
However,
I wanted to say this at the end, but I think I will just put this in here right now because I played the first game much later. So like it was already out for like, I don't know, 4 years at that point, or I don't even know. And that's when I got to play with it. But beforehand, because I was so interested in it, I watched cinematic cut on YouTube, which is
Yeah.
basically just them putting together all the cinematic cuts from the game, making it into a movie. Let's call it that.
Yeah.
And obviously that means that most of the combat and whatnot are left out. This feels like a little bit like
That's
that.
an interesting comparison though, to like, even if I don't agree, that's interesting because now I understand your perspective a lot more and how it feels.
I feel like that's basically what's happening. So it's like, we can't put all the combat in here because then you'll be watching like a 25-hour long thing on YouTube.
But that's what we
so
want. I'm just kidding.
in a way,
It is what we want.
it is
Yeah.
what we want. Like, the games, of course, they are about Ellie and Joel and their journey, and that's the best part in it. And I will forever say that. But at the same time, combat, infected people, blah blah blah. We're kind of starting to miss out on a few things that I wish that even if they would just put it in there for just a tiny bit, just a tiny bit, like how they did it in the previous episode, because that infected scene was insane. I watched it back a couple of times now, and I feel like, oh yes, beautiful. So I think that's my problem. I couldn't really put my finger on it at the beginning, but it starts to feel like that a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. It starts to feel like back when I was like, I don't even know, 17, 18. I have no idea how old I was watching it on YouTube. But I still love it. Like, before people coming for me in the comments and everywhere, I still think it's a brilliant show, and what they are doing is fucking great. But at the same time, I love the games, and there are things that I wish they would, do differently. But yeah, let's get to that the other talk between Tommy and Joel, which I think was so beautiful.
I thought it was the most wonderful conversation, even though it was not a good conversation.
It wasn't.
Because this is the first time we're seeing Joel emotional.
Mm-hmm.
Like truly emotional, besides like obviously anger and revenge. And everything he was saying made total sense as to why he felt broken and ill-equipped, which got me thinking too, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But usually after you have those burst of emotions and you finally let things out to somebody, because he had nobody really to talk to, he finally lets this out to his brother, pours out his heart and his fears, and now he can think clearly. Now he has let all of that out. He can think clearly, which leads to what happens later. But my gosh, it was beautiful to watch.
I love that scene. I thought it was probably Pedro Pascal's best moment of the season, performance-wise. I've got a few things to say about that scene. There's good and bad I have about it. I think it's perfectly said. Broken and ill-equipped is such a nice thing to say about Joel. I think that's a perfect description of who he is. And I think that's very evident in the game and in the series. But one thing I think, I don't know, I think the jury's still out a little bit on it. But one thing I maybe don't like is how, I've said it before in previous episodes, is how this Joel is so much more emotional. He feels softer. I think it feels like he's got his heart on his sleeve a lot more. His emotions are in the open. I mean, we never see Joel in the game get this emotional, this vulnerable. We never see him sort of shed tears after this is sort of post Sarah. But we never see him like this. He never opens up. I'm 100% certain that this is what Joel in the video game is definitely feeling.
Oh yeah. And
probably wants to talk about, but he just doesn't do that ever. I'm wondering if it's just because it's the sort of medium of TV that they need to tell the story a lot quicker than the 14, 16 hours it would take you to finish the game. I
think so, yes.
I think, yeah, because you're watching the show, it's 9 hours, it's 9 episodes, so that's 9 hours. But we had a whole episode dedicated to Bill and Frank. We've had stories diving into the side characters and things. So I think we're probably only getting like 4 or 5 hours of Joel's character progression. So to tell everything you see in 14 to 16 hours of a gameplay playthrough, to put that and condense it all the way down, I think they've had to try and find a different way to tell Joel's story, and to make him more emotional, to see what he's feeling more viscerally. I think has been quite important, and I think that's why they've made him this way. But that's why I'm still debating it, because I'm not sure if I like it, I'm not sure if I hate it, but it's a completely different Joel. But one thing I have to say is that it works beautifully for the show, but it's so different to the Joel from the game.
Hmm. I also partially think too it's because they're making him that way because it's easier for audiences to connect. Because if you have
Yeah.
such a Joel from the video games, such an asshole, such a dick that we all still totally love, having people come in to watch this, if he is like that, it's a lot harder for people to connect to the character and
Mm.
feel things and really just like feel part of the story. I think that's also a major reason as to why they're doing it. But you're
Yeah.
right, it works perfectly for the show.
This is where I don't agree. Because
Okay.
if you can do it in a game, and we are still, we like Joel in the game, despite
Yeah.
him being a dick, why can't you do it here? Why do
Because
you
I
have
think
to
it's
make him
for
softer?
non-gamers, I think.
Still, there are
Different
asshole
audience. I
characters
think
in movies, series, whatnot, that
But are
people
they-
like.
But, well, I guess you're right, because I don't watch, well, this might be a fault on my behalf, because I personally don't like watching shows where, like, people are just dicks and just take a shot every time we say dick or asshole.
Do it.
Because it makes me feel uncomfy. That's like the best way to explain it. I don't like it. I want to be with a character that I like and that I connect with, type
Yeah,
of thing.
but-
So it might just be my thing.
But you play through a whole game where the main character is a
And
dick.
we're kind of going on a little bit of a tangent here, and I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I think we are.
It's fine. Let's get into
The
basically just shot for shot same scene,
Yeah.
except Ellie never runs off.
yeah.
They never go after her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting because when we get into the bedroom, and I was like,
It's
this
the same
looks
bedroom.
like the bedroom, so she
Yeah,
must not be running
Exactly
away.
the same.
And I was so happy because when we go in and we see this beautiful town, everything's working, it's just a perfect place to live. I was like, if raiders come in and destroy this place, I'm gonna cry. And I was happy that they deviated from the game and raiders didn't come in and kind of like half ruin everything.
I knew from the moment that
Ugh.
she was in the same room that that's not gonna happen.
I'm
They're not
glad.
gonna do it here.
Yeah.
So I was like,
How terrible would that be?
Yeah.
That'd be, ugh.
Yeah, I thought it would be so difficult for her to get away and get out of that city and stuff. So I thought we're not going to see it. And I didn't hate that she didn't run away, because I feel like it was cool to see in the game, but very largely unnecessary in the episode. I think it would have just added pointless time, really.
Yeah.
We still got our scene where Ellie's like, everyone I've ever been close to has either died or left me. Everyone fucking except for you. Oh, I love that line. And we got that scene. It's so powerful. It's so good.
Yes.
And hats off to Bella Ramsey again, because it was a great performance.
Because I sure as hell ain't your dad.
Mhm.
That's
you
one of
sound more and more like Ashley and Troy, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, but it's like
Oh yeah.
it's there.
Oh, I noticed. It was just so great. It's because it's like, oh, we love seeing that scene. We're like smiling about it, but it's like a heartbreaking scene. It was from that moment where I was like, how is this all going to play out? Because she didn't run away. And when they come back, Joel's like, I'll take her. Everything will be fine. And I was like, what are they going to do now? There's a lot in the game and the show where it comes to choices. Initially, Joel is not giving Ellie a choice, saying, you are going with Tommy. That is the end of it. You do not have a say.
Yeah.
This is what's going to happen. He gives her a choice like, hey, I figure you should have a choice. Oh, it's me. As he's like holding the bag, like, oh, okay, I guess we're going. And it's one of the very few choices Ellie's gonna have.
I thought that was interesting that Joel kind of gave her a choice. It wasn't just like, okay, this is what's happening. Ellie, get on my horse.
Yeah. Poor Tommy had to wake up early, tell his wife he was leaving.
Probably got into a fight.
Man,
With Maria, I'm sure he did.
Oh yeah, 100%.
She
Maria
would
is
win.
great. Let me just put it out there.
Oh,
Such a good casting again. I was so happy.
such good casting.
So happy.
I loved her.
And we are getting more depth to her, and we're getting to know
Yes.
her more, and I'm very happy with that. I love Maria. I think she's great. I knew that they're gonna do this. Boy, we have 10 15 minutes left.
That's
sure
what I
we're gonna get to the university. So of
Yeah.
course we are. Of course we are.
So when you said you had looked at the minute mark and you're like, I wonder what's gonna happen, I was like, either they're gonna extend the scene. And I was like, nope. I know exactly how they're gonna end this episode.
Yeah.
And I was
Oh,
right.
and it just you know it's coming, and it's like, oh no.
Mhm.
I hated it.
I
You
was
hated
mad.
it?
I was actually upset that he did not fall
Same.
onto
I
the
hated
way
it.
To see him
because
fall.
I hated it.
First of all, he should be smart enough to know that if you're stabbed with something, especially standing and you're mobile, you don't pull it out.
You don't pull it out.
And he did. And I was like, no, that's why him falling on the pipe was even better, because the pipe was cemented to the ground and he had to get up or he was going to die.
They just made him stupid.
It's kind of like that whole thing, my tangent last time with like, she cut her hand. It's this here where it's like, this man is smart enough to know that you don't do that. He is smart enough to know that.
And then he does
it. I wanted to see him fall from the
Exactly.
I wanted to see him fall. That's one of my favorite things.
It's such a cool moment.
He's wrestling with a guy, and then he hits it, and it's just brutal. You kind of see this thing go through him.
Yeah.
And it's like, it sounds like a terrible thing, but I wanted to see Joel get impaled.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
This is I had a huge problem with this whole part. Like,
But we got the monkeys.
We got the monkeys.
I love this part. What did you have a problem with? I absolutely loved the last 15 minutes.
It's because I can tell you why she didn't like it. It's because there were no college student runners around that you killed.
No fucking infected. No, not really for fucking guy. Fuck off. Like, I literally, because I usually don't watch this behind the scenes thing until the whole season goes down, because I like to watch it all together. But well, I guess this is by this time our interview with Jeffrey is already out. So I was looking for the behind the scenes for how they come out from the bloater hole. And that's where Craig Mason says that, you're not going to get the same action, and you're not going to get this, and this is more grounded. And I'm like, sure, and that's okay if we still get some, but like completely ditching the Raiders, coming in the university, coming after Joel and Ellie, and them needing to literally sneak away from them and escape from them. And reducing it down to just 4 guys coming in with like spears and whatnot. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, it's one of the coolest parts in the game. And I think and they discover so many things regarding the fireflies in there as well. That's where they learn. I think that's where you first learn the name of the doctor of and whatnot, and how they already and how they already tried here as well to come up with the cure, and they were testing and whatever. And this is where the hearing inconsistency comes in. This is the scene, because Joel hears them downstairs. He's the first who's like, oh, someone's coming, I can hear them.
I think it was his left ear, though, that was facing where they were coming from. I do have an Easter egg. That's kind of my own thing. So after they look at the packing list and they're going to go up the stairs, what color is the stairs rails? It's Naughty Dog yellow.
I think it would have been good to add a bit of an action sequence to the end of the episode. I think it would have been nice. When the Raiders first attack them, I think they're listening to the recording device, and the Raiders shoot at them from
another
There's this epic sequence where you fight them, but you're also climbing down 2 flights of stairs, so you have to like fight them and then go down a flight of stairs while you're busy fighting. And then obviously you get to the point where Joel gets pushed over. But then there's also an amazing sequence where Joel's injured and you control him and you walk as you
everything's fading and
shuffles, everything's fading out. And then I've just thought of another thing. When they came into the university, Ellie asked Joel, like, what would you want to do if you could do anything? And Joel says, maybe be a singer. And then then Ellie says to Joel, like, you got to sing me a song at some point. And then that sequence where Joel's all weak after being impaled and he's walking to the exits, Ellie's helping him up, and she's like, you better fucking sing for me after this. I was like, I was hoping we'd hear something like that, because that's a cool line as well.
Yeah.
But that sequence is brutal because Joel's like just barely able to get onto the horse. And then we do at least get the scene where he falls off the horse, which is great.
You know what they could have
But yeah, I
easily
think
done?
yeah.
They could have easily this it might sound like a ripoff of Supernatural, but it's not. But instead of him getting impaled on the ground, why couldn't the guy have pushed him into the tree and the tree went through him? Impaled him like a branch or something.
Yeah.
Something like that I feel like could have still done justice, but I also wonder I want to know the reason why they didn't do it. Was it maybe like a production issue
Because it's
or
more
something,
grounded.
or I don't know.
I'm so
or just,
salty
like,
about it. He said it. He said it. This is a more grounded story. This is a more real story. And I'm like,
but that's
okay,
real though.
It doesn't mean you have to take out every fucking combat that we have in the game, especially like the cinematic ones that we actually get to see through cutscenes. Like,
because, like, was it a problem for like, for Pedro somehow to just like?
Could it be a problem, Erika?
I know. I'm thinking.
see,
I'm like, wait, no, not Pedro. It wouldn't be a problem for Pedro, but like, I feel like to just, my brain is digging for a logical reason why they didn't do it.
See, I think we can honestly, I think we can take production complications off the table because this is the most expensive Canadian production of all time. So I don't think it's ever going to be logistically impossible for them to do something like this. No. I think them taking it out, maybe they would have said, oh, a guy that's 50 something years old falling 2 stories and landing on a piece of rebar maybe doesn't survive that. So maybe they're taking it out to be more realistic and things like that.
Okay, I guess that specific sense does make sense, and that does make my brain a little happier.
Does
but
it?
They could have done a tree impalement.
He still gets impaled.
That's it.
Yeah. He still gets impaled with that fucking stick or whatever it is. So it's the same injury. Yeah. So how are they going to explain that he survives that?
But I also was very, very happy when he chokeholded the guy and broke his neck. I was so happy with that kill sequence because that's just from the game. And I was sitting there as he's like choking him, and I'm like, snap his neck. And he did. And I was like,
but they even had the camera close in.
Yeah.
So it looked exactly because when you do that, when you do like a stealth kill where he's choking the guy out, you can actually move the camera around and it zooms in when you get to the front. You see the guy's face. It was.
That made me very
so
happy.
Weird. Like we said to Jeffrey, we were like, we loved seeing your face get ripped apart because that was from the game, and we loved seeing this random dude get choked out.
It was wonderful.
All right, let's get into episode ranking them.
Okay, I really like this episode. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's a lot slower than.
But it felt good.
The last episode definitely, but I think it's a really, really good change of pace. I think it was nice to sort of slow down and dive a little bit more into Joel's grief. There was some really, really nice bonding moments between Joel and Ellie, and of course there was some amazing moments between Joel and Tommy. I think Gabriel Luna is just phenomenal as Tommy. So I liked I think Lily might disagree with why I liked it, but I liked how it was sort of diving into the relationships and talking about the emotional stuff. So this episode and the little nods to the game, the little scenes like that, there were some things that were taken out that I wanted to see, but overall I think this is one of my favorite episodes of the season. I'm going to give this episode today a 9 out of 10. I really, really enjoyed it.
I agree for the most part. I really did enjoy the kind of slower paced character building of this episode. I would probably give this one probably an 8 out of 10, mainly because my disappointment of him not getting properly impaled. And just like a couple of the things that just like didn't happen, but getting some of those really pivotal moments that were super important, especially like the conversation between Joel and Ellie. Ellie's jacket is now the same as it was as well. Seeing those little things. I don't know. There's just something about the episode that the only way to describe it is I enjoyed it. I just straight up enjoyed it. So I'm probably going to give that an 8 out of 10.
7 at best. It's a 7.
Wow.
I am getting a bit tired of them ditching combat because it's not grounded enough, or in their opinion, or whatever. They are leaving out combat from here, and it's not that that's the most important thing, or that's what always needs to happen, or it's not about that. It's just the fact that once again we're watching zombie or infected show, badly and infected, except for 2 episodes. We're watching a show about horrible people and how people turn fucking awful in a situation like this. 4 fucking raiders. Yeah, what a threat. Woo! I get it that you want to build it more on the emotional things that happen, and you want to build out the relationships like it is in the game, and that's a good thing. So on that part, it's definitely a 9 out of 10 because I really enjoyed the Tommy and Joel conversation. I really enjoyed the little things, the little nods and the extra things that they put in there, especially with that couple at the beginning. I just love them so much, and I need more of them. But at the same time, I love the game, and I'm starting to miss feelings that I had during the game. Like, I know that you can put everything in there, as I said, and that's completely fine, but like completely ditching one side in favor of the other, exactly, it's like,
I want to feel more scared.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like, I think they can still, I'm still there that the David episode especially, and the Left Behind episode as well, can still bring it up. But now I'm starting to get worried, like, obviously when we first meet David, we get a bunch of infected, and it's one of the hardest parts in the game, if you ask me, to nail. I think they're gonna leave that out. I'm at that point, like, it's not gonna happen. It's
mainly
it's
to
not
bring
gonna
the
be
story
that.
forward.
I think that what we get infected wise at the last part, when they are already in Salt Lake City, it's not gonna be in there.
Oh, with the other bloater, the 2 bloaters. Oh,
yeah, they already ditched so many things. That
and then Ellie drowning. Oh, I hope
exactly.
They don't. I really hope they do. Well, no, they have to do Ellie drowning because that's
but we already said that they have to do a lot of things, and then they ditch those things.
Hi, I am still Erika. You have seen me go through 4, I'm pretty sure, different hair color changes, but I am the same person, I promise. So you are watching this on CouchSoup, believe it or not. We have some wonderful things for you if you want to watch our faces early. Come sign up over at couchsoup.com/membership. We have some exclusive things there, a wonderful community of friends, all of us that just love doing this stuff together. And we'd love to have more people come and join in conversations and other things. So please do so. We would love to have you come hang out with us.
Yeah, 100%. So this was us talking about the latest episode of The Last of Us. You can check out our Jeffrey Pierce interview. It's already up on YouTube at this point, so go ahead and check this lovely man out. It's great.
So nice.
And we're gonna see you next time in 7 days. Well, when you're watching this, then it's never mind. You figure it out.
you meant what we knew.
Yeah, exactly. All right. This was us. And don't forget, endure and survive.
Endure and survive.
Endure and survive.